Bonjour, welcome everyone to our City Council meeting of May the 8th, 2023. I have with us today Councillor Leo Azarad, Councillor Andy Schuster, Councillor Oren Sabag, Councillor Dita Burku, Councillor Stephen Erdely, Councillor Mike Cohen. City Manager Jonathan Schechter with us. We have Darrell Levine, our Director of Communications. We have Flora Abinhu and Pascal Tanguay with us as well, making sure that we get all the minutes right. Okay, so before we start the meeting, we are going to go to question period shortly, and there's 3 ways to attend the meeting. Vous pouvez faire des questions ici en personne, ou deuxièmement, par écrit, et troisièmement, by virtually online. If you're there, you'll, at the end of question period, you will be asked to put up your hand on Zoom, and we will take questions from anybody who wants to participate virtually as well. But before we do get to question period, I wanted to go over a few things that are going on in the city. List of things. The first is, so it's a musical, Something Rotten. Something Rotten, it's a musical production by the Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society, is opening on May the 27th. Tickets are up online, and there are going to be about, 15, 16 shows taking place at the renovated Wager Auditorium. It's a cast of over 40, 45 people of all backgrounds, all ages, and it's quite the spectacle event, something really not to miss. So you can go online on our Côte Saint-Luc pages and buy your tickets now. It's going to be a great show. We had a wonderful event, which is the Janes Walk yesterday. We went to the western part of Côte Saint-Luc and discovered areas starting up. We can show some pictures. You can show some pictures, Director Levine, of the event, spearheaded by Councillor Dita Burku and Janine West from the library. And it was really over 100 people. I think it was about 100 people. That's what, but there were about 100 people there. It was a beautiful day. And c'était vraiment intéressant pour moi. J'ai commencé mon travail à Côte Saint-Luc comme gérant de la piscine Blossom. It was interesting for me to start off the walk, which the first stop was Blossom Pool, which now has about how many homes built on it? So sad. 17 homes are built on this, what used to be a 40,000 square feet of land that was dedicated to a swimming pool that was created in 1962 and lasted till 1998. Wonderful facility, and so many other stuff. We also got to see people who came on the walk, got to see the renovated Kerwin Park, which is opening soon. And as you can show some pictures, when you get to the one with me holding that picture, let me know. Anybody, the Historical Society of Côte Saint-Luc has been around now, I think, for about 7 years. And we know a lot of people are selling their homes, are moving on, have lived here for many, many years, some since the beginning of the boom of the 50s and 60s. And if you have anything in your homes that you want to donate to the city, we'd like to have an exhibit at the library that could highlight some of those things that you might think are junk, but we think are treasures. You might have some pictures of old events, or you might have some mementos from winning an award or something else that you want to donate to the city, and we'd love to hear about that. So feel free to get in contact with our librarian, Janine West, come to the library, see some pictures here. I don't know when we get to that one picture. So there will be a picture of me holding up, showing a picture of when I was manager of Blossom Pool in 1986, and that was my wife, who's sitting there right now, who was the gate person. She wasn't my wife back then, but we certainly have a lot of fun at Blossom Pool and all the other places in our city. The other thing that I wanted to go into next, once we go through all the pictures, great, is the Merchant of the Month. So for that, I'm going to pass it over to Mike Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very proud to recognize our Merchant of the Month for June. And a merchant, he is a businessman, an entrepreneur. He's with us tonight, Stefan Znathy, who is here in the back with Samara Nemiroff, who is his right-hand person, And the other person not only works for him, but gave birth to him, and that's his mother, Mireille, who is also there. And I want to tell you, if you go to Bijou at the Cavendish, at the Cartier Cavendish, right outside Farmer Free, if Stefan ever wanted to run for politics, he could get elected anywhere. He is the friendliest gentleman you will ever meet. He knows everybody. He knows people who aren't even his customers. And I think the same can be said for Samara and for Mireille. Besides all the beautiful jewelry he sells, he is the go-to person. They are the go-to people for your watch batteries, for repairs. I've brought him stuff over the years to repair, and he does miracles in his workshop in Côte Saint-Luc at his home. We're very proud to have him. So I'd like the mayor and members of council to come up, and I'd like the three of them to join us so we can present them with the plaque.
Okay.
Yeah. Hooray, wonderful. Thank you. You could sit up the front there, everybody.
That's right, please.
Fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You like to say anything on the microphone over here? I'll interview you.
This way. All right.
Go ahead, Stefan.
I just want to say a big thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to work with my community. It's actually an advantage also. When you know the people, you grew up with the people. It's just an amazing job, and I hope it goes both ways. That's it.
Hang that up in the shop.
Will do.
See it when they come by.
Thank you. Thank you very
All right.
much.
Thanks for coming. Have a great night. Repair a lot of watches tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so the next is donation to the Côte Saint-Luc Public Library. Okay, so there's been want to present that as well, Mike? since
Yes,
the
I'll
library-
present it
Go ahead.
first, and then Director Levine will play the video. So we are very pleased. I know last year we got the $500,000 donation from Rosalind Margulies. We're working on, asking people to contribute to the library, to name things in their honor. And I know Councillor Azarad is doing a lot of great work behind the scenes with the sponsorship portfolio to bring in sponsors for a variety of things. So we have a $7,000 donation to the library from the Fagan family in memory of Gary Fagan, who for our science and fantasy books section. He was an avid member of the library. He passed away before COVID, so it took some time. So if Daryl could play the video, it's a short 3-minute chat I had with Aaron, his daughter, and Aaron's mom and Aaron's brother. And people could watch it. It's on the library YouTube site right now.
Well, as the city council responsible for the Côte Saint-Luc Public Library, I'm thrilled to announce that we have a new donation coming from the Fagan family of $7,000 to in memory of their dad. We have Aaron and Daniel, and we have Emma, their mom, with us today. And Gary Fagan was a devoted member of the library. And maybe we could start off with Aaron. Tell us, what was it? First of all, the donation that you've given, it's a $7,000 donation. Why don't you explain what the donation's going for and why?
Yeah, thank you for asking. The donation is I wanted to give back to the library because I feel like not only did it give me so much my whole life, but the library gave my father so much. My dad really was there frequently. He had a relationship with the librarians. It really was a big part of his community. And it just felt like such a special place, and I wanted to show that in some way. And I was really grateful to the library. Janine and I have talked a lot about what the money will be used for, and that's something else I can't speak highly enough about. Janine has been so patient and consulting me every step of the way, and we wanted the money to go to something that would be of use to a lot of people. So I think we're getting some cool new chairs for the reading section that will hopefully last a good long time.
But the section itself is
Mhm.
of significance. Tell us about the section that you chose.
It is, yeah. My dad, a lot of the reference librarians will know him as the guy that would come up to them and say, hey, you're missing this series. You should buy it for the fantasy section. Or, oh, you're missing book 2 and book 4 in this science fiction section, because those were his big areas of interest, fantasy and science fiction. And bless them, they would buy what he recommended and they would fill out the things that were missing. And so I sort of felt like he was in part responsible for the fantasy and science fiction sections of the library.
Hmm.
And the library has very generously agreed to rename the fantasy and science fiction collections after my dad. And I couldn't be more thrilled about that.
Well, now that'll be his legacy. So Emma, you have memories of bringing your kids to the library. In fact, you told me that you lived on Sir Walter Scott right next to the library at some point.
Right behind the library. And when Erin was little, she was brought there every single day, and she would watch videos and read books, and she always asked for the same video. And it's just a big part of our lives. They were there all the time, my kids. So especially Erin, because we were living there the first 5 years of her life. That was our backyard.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And Daniel, you're a dad now. So as a dad, do you want your child or your children to frequent the library too? You think that's going to be something?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very poignant remark because my daughter loves books. Like we have a mini library section. She's obsessed with books from a very early age. So definitely see a lot of library trips in the future. And I would love to bring her to the Côte Saint-Luc one to, sort of like a family tradition. That would be great.
Well, it definitely have a lot of memories, and I think right now what you're doing is terrific. We are certainly encouraging other families to look at the library, look at different sections, look at what meant to their loved ones who are no longer with us, and perhaps name a section after them. So we're available for consultation on that anytime. I want to congratulate you. I want to thank you for stepping forward and making the time for me today, and good luck.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, I want to thank the Fagan family, and as of 8:30 on MikeCohen.ca. So Joel, you can do a little cut and paste. It'll be on my blog at 8:30. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Emma. Thank you to the entire family for this wonderful donation that will always be a memory to your dad and your husband. It means a lot. And we really appreciate what you're doing for the library, and he'll always be remembered when we walk through that section, as well as always. They're family of families. So part of our family, it's nice to remember him in our library. Thank you. So now we will go to question period. The first question is from Norman Sabin.
Hi, good evening. First, I want to thank you for fixing the traffic sensor at Cavendish and Kildare. The traffic goes much better. I just wanted to point out another problem at the intersection of Cavendish and Fleet. I drive a lot along Cavendish between Merton and Fleet. At the best of times, the traffic flow is not great, but for the last few months, it's been even worse. I'm getting a lot of red lights at Fleet. So I took out my handy wristwatch and I figured out the problem. The problem is that the cycle time at Fleet is 95 seconds and it should be 80 seconds. That's what it's been for the last 5 years. So I sent an email off to Spiro March the 5th and pointed this out to him. And he said, well, I haven't made any changes there. So I drove down there again today and it's the same problem. It's not just me, it's every day thousands of drivers drive on Cavendish between Merton and Fleet. And they get a red light that they shouldn't be getting. They wait longer at the red light, which they shouldn't be doing. So if the cycle time was changed back to 80 seconds, which is what it used to be, the traffic flow will be better. There'll be less waiting at red lights. There'll be less GHG emissions. Today I took a video of it, and just as I was starting my video, a guy flew through Fleet. He went through the red light. Didn't want to wait, I guess, for the next green light. So it's an important issue. So I just wanted to bring it to you because having brought it to Spiro and not having anything done, I don't know what else to do. It should be fixed. It's just a question of timing. I don't know if the problem is the engineering or if it's software or if it's hardware. I don't know what the problem is, but I think we all want to have better traffic flow in Cavendish, and it's an easy fix. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Maybe you can speak with Spiro.
Sure. So we will, because I'm clearly not an expert on traffic, and I don't think we have the answer in this room, but we'll get back to you on whether it was 80 and moved to 95, and if that makes a difference.
Okay.
And we'll make sure that you get a response.
Well, the thing is that, you know, if you want to synchronize with Merton has an 80-second cycle time, so Fleet should have 80 seconds. If you want to synchronize with Fleet along Randall, Pinedale, Netherwood, and Queen Mary, then you would make it 85 because they're all in 85 seconds. So you have to sort of choose what you want to do. But for the last few years, it's been 80 seconds. And if you want any hope of having good traffic flow along Cavendish between Merton and Fleet, 80 seconds would be the way to go.
We'll have to
So-
get that response. I mean, I don't have this, obviously they want good flow on Cavendish. We also want good flow going on to Fleet.
Yeah.
I don't know why there was the change. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm not the expert. Do you have an answer more to that? But that's the only thing that go ahead. Sure.
So I want to say, Mr. Saban, that I really, really appreciate your input. I am, like you, a frustrated driver. I'm not talking about Cavendish Fleet now. I'm talking about Rosedale and Côte Saint-Luc Road, which you know is a
Yeah.
complete disaster.
Yeah.
What the city of Montreal did there.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering really how we can sort of channel your expertise, because I consider you are very expert and you're measuring everything down to the millisecond. And I just appreciate your input. I think we're going to be able to, to channel it some way positively, because there are changes that are needed.
Well, Rosedale and Côte Saint-Luc Road is a disaster, like you say,
A com-
because
Disaster.
as
And
you've told me,
blocking traffic.
yeah,
It's creating a backlog, and we cannot get through to the city of Montreal. They've created this false cross section, like the pedestrian crossings are completely, they've gone overboard completely. I mean, it's just really difficult. And now they're going to add the bus, and it's going to even be
Yeah.
another extra added time. So
Y-
we'll discuss it offline. I know it's
Yeah,
not the time,
but
but I wanted to say publicly that I do appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Okay, Councilor Italy.
can I just say one thing, Dita? I'm sorry. But I mean, they put that 25-second pedestrian signal because they want to increase safety, but when drivers are frustrated and they run red lights, that's how pedestrians get killed. So it's not making it safer. It could be making it worse.
So I was just gonna add 2 points. So first for the Côte Saint-Luc Rosedale, I remember I noticed it as they were building it. I have to say, it was much worse when they first put it up because it wasn't synchronized at all with anything. It's better, but it's still a terrible use of resources. The only thing I don't have an answer to your question, but I also appreciate, I timed I was involved more on the Côte Saint-Luc Road and Westminster lights in terms of the timing and down to the second, so I can relate. And I spent a lot of time there with the stopwatch, counting how long it took people to cross the road and so on. But I will say this, I know that a lot of time was spent and variations were done on this because they're trying to synchronize Cavendish and Fleet with Cavendish and Merton, but also with Cavendish and Kildare. And the issue with Cavendish and Kildare is you have so many people turning left and all the priority lights and so on. So I don't have the answer, but I would say if there was a change, it may have been to synchronize it more with Cavendish and Kildare, which caused it to be out of phase with Cavendish and Merton. That's my only quick answer, but I would say, obviously, we have to hear from
Well,
engineers.
the cycle time in Cavendish Kildare is about 135 seconds, so 95 wouldn't make any sense either, you know. So
All right, no, I
I think it's,
appreciate that you
yeah.
took the time to count that.
thank you very much.
Bram Schuster. Okay, so remember the question period rules, 3-minute question, 1-minute follow-up.
What should a Côte Saint-Luc resident do if they're subject to unnecessary, derogatory, or just crude comments on behalf at the expense of a Côte Saint-Luc employee? Oh, and this is a 12-year-old. And everything was documented and sent to everybody down the chain, from the person supervisor to the counselor who's in charge of that department, to the head of the department, and to you, the mayor. So it was sent January 11th. Sorry. It's okay, my voice will get there. January 11th, March 9th, March 14th, April 15th, and I went in person twice, and as recently as last week to try to get an answer to this situation. The only correspondence I've ever gotten back from anyone is from Counselor Schuster, who admonished my son for taking a picture of the person when they had this interaction. I apologize on his behalf for him doing that, but as of recently, I wrote her back and I told her that that deal was off the table because I, along with other parents, have encouraged our kids when this has happened, since nothing has been done, to take some documentation. So that's the only response I've gotten for the city for this situation. And for this situation to come to the point where you're dropping off your kid at the ACC for this to happen is just a total disgrace. I've been in the business 35 years and I've never seen such poor management. Even if this happened, it's not a one-off situation. It's happened and no one has done anything. It's been documented. You got it. Everybody down the chain, not one person has called. We're talking about a 12-year-old.
Okay.
Who has more sense than the person who is inflicting this. I wouldn't go as far as calling it abuse. I would call it a lack of judgment and a lack of service.
Okay, so first of all, I feel sorry if there's any harm and aggravation.
First person to apologize.
I'm not apologizing. I feel sorry if there's any harm
Okay.
or abuse, but for yourself or your daughter. But in terms of response, it
My
deals
son.
with staff, your son. But because this deals with staff, I'm gonna have to refer to our Director of Legal Services or city manager, Director of Legal Services to respond. This question was, what is he supposed to do? And I, as an elected official, do not have that response. I'll have to leave it at the staff issue he's complaining about. I'll let staff respond. What's his recourse? What do you want him to do?
Well,
So there's no formal avenue for a resident to file a complaint against an employee of the city. Is that correct?
What's legal services? Legal services.
So that's what a resident should do.
Legal services.
Okay. And you have the emails as going as far back as January? I have them right here. Yes, I'll enter them into the record. You can have them.
Maître Schechter, I believe the correspondence went to Nadia DeFuria. I have the whole correspondence chain if you like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to go to the questions that have been.
Excuse me.
Yes, there's more question?
To make a more service for conduct usually. May I say something? Hi, I studied law and I just launched my first bilingual newspaper in Quebec. Yes, because it's about time. But I just wanted to say there is a code of conduct for all employees, whether it's RBC Bank or certainly people whose salaries we are paying, n'est-ce pas? Okay.
There's definitely a code of
We
conduct.
should look that up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I'm not lazy.
I'm here instead of being with my boyfriend. I care about Montreal. This is totally unacceptable what he just described. And he's a man and he's 6 foot tall. Ladies, you know what I'm talking.
Yeah, if you wish to ask a question, anybody's welcome at any time, but there's papers in the back. Comments from are not. Or we have to do this in an organized fashion. So the next question that was received online. In writing, and then we'll go to the online ones, or we do the online ones first. What's the order? Let me see. I said, we have it written here. So first we do the ones in person and then the ones on Zoom. Okay, Zoom first, and then we'll do the written ones. Zoom, who's on Zoom? Anybody on Zoom? Yeah.
David on Zoom, if you have a
Go ahead.
question, please ask it now.
I think the mic's not working. You might have to come off Zoom and re-enter. Sometimes your mic will get corrected if you leave and come back. So try that, but we'll go to the next question in the meantime. 'Cause you sound like a mouse. So you'll have to go leave Zoom and come back and it hopefully will fix itself. The next question.
There are no more questions.
There are no more questions on Zoom. So when this gentleman re-enters, we'll try him again. So but in the meantime, if you want to put up the first written question.
So we have a question from Miss Linda Fritz. I have always been proud of the way Côte Saint-Luc has kept the street and sidewalks, but this is no longer the case. Way too many of our roads are in abysmal condition. What is the reason? What is the plan for repairing and repaving? Can we see a list of streets that will be fixed in the next few months? The stop sign will remove on fleets and lights installed so that traffic would flow better. Why are they no longer things? Traffic is now very often backed up. Thank you.
I have a list of roads, but I don't have that document. You don't have a printed copy of the document? I never got a printed copy of the document with all the lists of roads. But if you can get me that, that would help, or get on my, put it on my screen, not the map. There was, I like the names of the roads. Okay, so what's that? Do you have it somewhere? If somebody has the document that was shared with the list of roads, that would be great, and I'll pass the mic to you. But of course, it was a very hard winter, and it's the season where we're just getting to those repairs now, and we're repairing all the potholes. It takes time. I understand they're going to Cavendish first tomorrow to start determining which ones have to be done and getting them done, and they're going to go throughout the city. We do have also a list of roads that are being redone as well, resurfaced, and I don't have that list. Do you have it? Want to read it out, Councillor Doyle? Yep.
Yeah,
Just read out the names.
I can read it, and I'll read the names of the streets that are scheduled to be repaid this year in 2023. So it includes most of Fleet from Pinedale to Cavendish. It includes a stretch of Cavendish from the underpass to Kildare. It includes also Sir Winston Churchill, Hartwell, and a block of Parkhaven, I guess between Wavell and Irving Lake. So those are the streets. Oh, sorry, and a section, just almost forgot, a section of Merton between Lyndale and Glencrest. Okay, it's not on my list, but so yeah, so those are the ones that I have on the list that are scheduled to be done.
That's James Walk. I'm trying to find the email from Down. You can send it to me again now. I can open question period.
And I could just add, Mr. Mayor. I'll just mention one of the priorities. I was mentioning this to the mayor earlier. One of the priorities for the city the last few years has been more on our pipes and sewers, on our water pipes and sewers that are under the roads. So I would say maybe we've haven't done repaved as many roads recently, but for me, the priority is let's repair the pipes first and then repave the roads. And I was sharing a story where I worked my day job on Côte Saint-Luc Road, but in the Montreal section where they repaved a stretch of Côte Saint-Luc Road and then the following year dug it all up and changed the pipes. So it somewhat backwards. So we try to do things in the correct fashion, but it means we've been focusing more on pipes over the last few years. But hopefully we'll be able to catch up in the next few on roads. Thank you. I'll let you continue, Mr. Rand.
Yeah, Director Levine, if you want to send me the email we get. Oh, it's here. Let's. Okay, I'm gonna open it right. So, okay, perfect. Great. Next question.
Next question is from Mr. Mark Needleman. How do you propose to install water meters in a building that went up over 40 years ago without individual water shutoff valves per unit? All piping in this building is interconnected. Water is shared. How do you fairly determine how much someone is responsible for per month? I use 100 gallons per month. The unit upstairs uses 200 gallons per month. Also, on another note, the general condition of the main roads in this city are atrocious. Guelph, Kildare, Cavendish, Côte Saint-Luc Road. These are main arteries in and out of this city used by thousands daily. Even a temporary patch job will be welcome. Check out the potholes southbound on Cavendish below Kildare. Been there over 2 weeks untouched. This is unacceptable, especially after the welcome tax windfall of the past year.
Okay, thank you. As the previous questioner asked, in terms of potholes and the ones on Cavendish that you mentioned that need to get repaired, they're going to start doing that tomorrow. And we are early in the season. So we will be getting to all the potholes in the city and resurfacing the streets that have been already mentioned, as well as repair all the sidewalks that are in really bad shape. And those we don't have an exact list at because we go throughout the city and we see the areas that need replacement. Okay, but in terms of water meters, on the issue of water meters, the Quebec government requires all cities, including Côte Saint-Luc, to collect data on how much water is used in homes. Our engineers will use this data to estimate the potable water consumption and how much water is lost. This spring and summer, water meters will be installed by some buildings and some houses. In the case of buildings like yours, the owners will make some modifications to the plumbing and then eventually install the water meter in the basement. So wherever is the main water entry for the building administration will contact tenants to announce times when the water will be shut off. Since there will only be one water meter in the building, there's no way to know how much water any individual apartment consumes. But I don't know if you wanted to add. Councillor Erdely.
Maybe I'll just add. So just to clarify first how it works today. So today in Côte Saint-Luc, residents are charged water not based on their consumption, but based on their valuation. In other words, based on the value of their property. And then there's a formula similar to the way residents pay taxes. Now, what will happen over the next 5, 10, 15 years is every home will have a water meter. Every home, every apartment building, every condo building. Over the next year, we're doing a pilot project with 380 homes and apartments spread out throughout the city, roughly an equal amount in each of the 8 districts in Côte Saint-Luc. Now, what we're going to see with those is we're going to work out kinks in terms of setting up, in terms of reading the meters and so on. But like I said, eventually all will have. Now, right now, like I said, until all the meters are in place, everyone is still going to continue to be charged based on their valuation because we can't switch until all the meters are installed, which will take several years. What I can't say is for homes, it's relatively simple. You have one water entryway and you have one water meter. For an apartment building, you have one entry as well, but for each unit, there could be multiple entries. So if you have an apartment unit, it's not necessarily from one entry. So the cost to actually put meters within an apartment building and similar for a condo would be almost prohibitive. So it's not, at least not in the short term, going to happen. So what will continue to happen for, let's say, larger buildings like apartments and condos is the condo itself will get a water bill and it'll be spread among the units based on their, I guess, on the value of their respective unit. For apartments, it'll be based on their rent. So that'll be how it works. In other words, for apartments and condos, it'll be similar to what it is today. It'll be continue to be based somewhat on their valuation. But again, for single family homes, it will eventually be based on their usage. And of course, I would say all of this is in the hope that it'll push people to use a bit less water, to be more frugal. If I can go off on a slight tangent, everyone has a hydrometer. You tend to be a bit more frugal when you know you're paying for every kilowatt hour that's used. If people start paying for every liter, every gallon, every cubic meter of water they use, the hope is people will save a little bit more water, not waste, and it'll overall reduce the amount of water that we use and reduce the amount of water that we waste in the city. So thank you.
Councillor Erling. Next question, please.
Next question from Edna Nyanko. I wonder how long one has to request a steel picnic table for our park, the Rembrandt Park. I'm a resident across the park and take great pride in it and really care of what is going on and happening in the park. I live across that park 6 years already, and ever since that summer, I've been speaking to the Park and Recreation Department quite often, if I may add, and just ask to please place another, and if possible, the metal picnic table, as it is easier for a senior to just slip into the bench. Picnic table close to the streets. In fact, a couple of years ago, there wasn't a picnic table altogether. I asked one and thankfully it was placed there. There are many, many residents, both senior and young families, and surely come and count how many tables are around our park. We really need one at this location. When I travel around our town, I realize what the preferentials are. Behind the library, where there is a forest of tables, can we get at least one more table for our park? I really wonder and will appreciate a response after you really give it just a little thought. Thanks so much for reading this message. Wish I could be here with all of you. Warmly, Edna.
Thank you, Edna Yanko, and thank you for writing in. Not everybody can make it to the council meeting, so we have 3 options. But in recent years, we've installed a total of 12 of those much more expensive, but really great park benches. We don't have in our budget room for another one this year, but we will make note of your request for one in your park for next year and do our best to provide. I understand that they are much easier to use, particularly for seniors, and they are our dream for the future to get more of them throughout the city. Okay, do you have any other questions?
So next question from Joanne Goldwater. The eastbound lane on Côte Saint-Luc Road between Smart and West Loop has been closed for over 2 weeks. I pass by there frequently and I have never seen any workers there or any sign that work has been done. Recently, I have noticed many cars driving east in the westbound lane in order to avoid the detour. Yesterday, I was driving west and a car was coming toward me on the wrong side of the road. He managed to go into the lane that was closed in order to avoid hitting me. If the detour is to be left there, could something be done to prevent drivers from going the wrong way before there is an accident? I have noticed that many of these cars are speeding to go to the golf course. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, we don't know the answer to this question, so we're definitely going to have to look into it and get back to you. But Councillor Erling might have something to add.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add, I noticed this myself as well. What it does is it forces, and even the bus, if I can share, the 103 bus, it has to do a sort of detour and go opposite to its normal route to get around. So, my hope is that this will be resolved very quickly. I noticed it as well over the last week or two, but we'll just say that definitely we're going to look into hopefully getting this work resolved as quickly as possible. I know sometimes things take longer we'd like, and we'll hope it'll be fixed in the next few days. So traffic on that stretch of Côte Saint-Luc Road, which is between Smart and West Luke in front of Richard Schwartz Park, we hope it'll be back to normal very soon.
Thank you. Okay, did the questioner come back?
There are 2 more questions.
Go ahead.
Allison, if you're there, please go ahead.
Hi, It's actually Allison's husband, Patrick. So we live on Blossom. So I have a two-part question. One, I'm conveying on behalf of my children, which is when Kerwin Park will be opening again. And the second one is in Kerwin Park, it seems like they dug up something. They broke up a bunch of concrete. And I was just curious as to what that was related to.
Okay, on behalf of my grandson Jonah, I asked the same question because we all want to get to that park and he lives really close by. So we're very pushing for it to be open as soon as possible. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for
We know it's supposed to be open by the end of June. That's what we're told. Councillor Kajewski.
If I may. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so without making any promises, weather dependent, the park section, so the Alan J. Levine playground section should be open within the next couple of weeks. Now, this can't be a promise because it's completely weather dependent and dependent upon some work that still needs to be done by Hydro-Quebec to make our electrical connections. There is more work than that required on the Kildare side, so at the Wentworth entrance of the park and Kildare by Hydro-Quebec. So that will take a little bit longer. So that'll be the opening of the chalet, the central area, which still hasn't been, the basketball courts have not been paved yet, and some finishing touches on the chalet. So that's likely to be end of June at this point. Again, weather dependent. If the weather cooperates, it will be earlier. As for concrete, I can't say. I know there were a couple of deficiencies that are being corrected by the contractor. So I'm not sure what you're referring to. I know there's a little bit of repair work to be done at the splash pad. So maybe that's, I'm not sure what else could possibly be, but I can look into it with the project manager and get back to you, Pat.
We certainly want to get that playground opened in May. We're really hoping that it's opened in May, the
For sure.
playground. Okay, next question.
David, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me now?
We hear you perfectly. Welcome back.
Perfect. So you talked a little about Hydro-Quebec doing some work. Actually, in the corner of Magnolia and West Luke, about a little after the Verglas, Hydro-Quebec came in and did some work. And then from then on until now, we had no streetlights whatsoever. So it's been 3 weeks. We have no streetlights. We have been in contact with the city who told us that they were assessing the work. I don't know what work there is to be assessed. Clearly, there's no light on the streets. But they told us that they've been assessing the work and that the project is in course. We've noticed this 3 weeks ago, sent them a message about 2 weeks ago, and we still haven't heard back. So I was just wondering if you knew anything, what was going to happen, and if so, how fast until we have back light on our streets.
Thank you. And I've received emails, I think probably from you or your wife as well as Councillor Erdely, who's going to respond. We want to get those lights on.
So this is a significant problem. There's actually 9 consecutive lights that are out, 9 consecutive street lights, 4 on Magnolia. So I'm looking at the numbers. It's MC01, MC02, 03, and 04. And then on West Luke, it's from WG51 to WG55. Now, what I believe, because we've been trying to look into this on our end, we've had a problem with MC04, which is the light at the corner of Magnolia and Smart. So that has been out on and off for a few years, and MC02 as well, which have been long-standing issues directly related to Hydro-Quebec. So we have been pushing Hydro to fix those 2 that have been out. MC04 has been out since 2019. MC02 has been out for several months, maybe close to a year. So those 2 have been long-standing issues. So we've been pushing Hydro to fix those. Now, somehow in the process of trying to fix those 2 lights, we believe they may have mucked up the entire circuit of the 9 consecutive lights.
So do you think like the whole corner street basically is affected by these 2 lights?
I'm saying that's my belief. Now I've been pushing, I just sent a follow-up email to the Public Works Department this morning about it. So I'm hoping that our electricians can get to the bottom of it as well. And I know the mayor is on this one, and I will follow up again with our Public Works Department. Like I said, I just sent a follow-up email earlier this morning about it, but we're hoping to get it resolved. Like I said, my belief is the issue is linked to those 2 which have been long-standing issues. Like I said, one of them going back to 2019 that What happens, I mean, I'll just share a quick, maybe just one more thing. So we have two types of lights in the city of Côte Saint-Luc. We have some that are freestanding that are what we call cobra heads. So those are usually on metal poles. And then we have some that we call the cubes. The cubes are the ones that are attached to wooden poles, which are hydro poles. Now, what happens on occasion is hydro changes the wooden pole. So the wood over time deteriorates, they replace it. They put a new one beside it. Sometimes they transfer our light. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do it correctly. And sometimes they don't do it correctly. MC04 was one of those examples. We had another one actually on Sunnybrook that took a few years. And I know our city manager worked very hard behind the scenes on that one. So I thank him. SK06, exactly. So we had some issues where, again, hydro switches poles and they muck up our city lights. So that was the issue on Magnolia. And like I said, my belief is because we were pestering them to fix those, somehow they made it worse. But I can tell you, we're aware of these 9 lights. I have the numbers right in front of me. And I'm hoping to have some news very soon. My apologies that it's taken longer than we would like.
Thank you, Councillor Early.
Thank you.
Very good, very specific. All right, so now we're going to move on with the next item, which is approval of the minutes. Councillor Cohen.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I so move that the minutes from the regular meeting of April 18th, 2023 be approved.
Seconded by Councillor Schuster. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And we'll move to any business arising from the council minutes. Any government correspondence? I don't believe we have. So we'll go to departmental reports. Councillor Schuster.
Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh,
If I may,
Yes, go ahead.
we missed the adoption of the agenda.
We didn't do that? I thought we did it before question period. Maybe did we?
No.
We didn't do it? Okay, Councillor Cohen, adoption of the agenda.
Yes, I so move that the agenda as we see be approved.
Seconded by Councillor Leor Azarad. All in favor? And now it's approved unanimously, and we'll go back to moving on to departmental reports. Councillor Schuster.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. The monthly departmental reports submitted for April 2023 be and are hereby approved as drafted.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Azarad. All in favor? Okay, any discussion? Sorry, we should have a discussion first. Moved and seconded. All in favor, any discussion? Who wants to talk? Go ahead.
I'll go.
First, Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few highlights for recreation. The Masters swim team hosted the 40th Quebec Provincial Masters Championships at the ACC, April 14th to 16th. Approximately 500 swimmers from Quebec and Ontario came to Côte Saint-Luc for the event. And our Masters team finished 6th overall out of the 59 teams. The Mega Garage Sale will take place at the Côte Saint-Luc Gymnasium on Sunday, May 28th. Those spots booked up super fast. So on May 28th, you can go to the Côte Saint-Luc Gym from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And there are 40 booths with new and previously loved goods that you can take home. Tennis courts in Rembrandt Park and the Caldwell Courts opened as of April 24th. And the Côte Saint-Luc Tennis Club opened yesterday with memberships on sale at the ACC. The pickleball community is eagerly waiting to try out our brand new pickleball courts that are located in the Confederation Annex behind the Samuel Moscovich Arena. And these seasonal courts are scheduled to be installed by the end of May. And as the mayor mentioned before, the Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society is presenting the side-splitting, toe-tapping Broadway musical, Something Rotten, about William Shakespeare's goofball playwriting rivals, the Bottom Brothers, as they strive to write a hit that will rock the Renaissance. The Dramatic Society's trailer video is already circulating on social media. The show is May 27th to June 11th at the Wager Auditorium. Tickets are on sale at csldramaticsociety.com, or if you need help purchasing tickets online, you can ask for assistance at the library. And lastly, a big thank you to all the staff and volunteers that work hard to make our programming happen for our residents and friends of all ages and abilities. Thank you.
Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start on the finance side. A reminder to residents that the second installment of taxes is due on May 25th. And as I've said previously, I encourage residents to please try to make your payment a day or two early so that you avoid late fees or penalties. Sometimes it takes a day or two to process it at the bank, and we don't want anyone to incur any extra fees. Our audit was recently completed by Deloitte, our auditors. We'll be sharing a bit more information when we do the mayor's report, and I'll present some of the highlights a bit later. I also want to mention in terms of water filter rebates, we've had 62 residents so far this year who've applied. 50 of them have been processed already, and the rest should be processed. And again, I encourage residents, if you live in a home that may have lead that was built during those years where lead was used for the service lines, to please get one of the different types of filters. And actually later on in the agenda, we'll be adopting we'll be giving a notice of motion about an additional type of way people can get a filter for their homes. In local news, I had the pleasure of attending the King David residence for a vernissage of artwork from Dr. Alyssa Wartzman that will be hung throughout the building, and some beautiful artwork there. I also want to share with regard to a Côte Saint-Luc native. I had the pleasure of attending the Defi Alter Go Bocce World Games, and Allison Levine, a Côte Saint-Luc native, won a bronze medal in the individual and gold in the pairs. So Allison Levine is a two-time Paralympic at the 2016 and most recently the 2020 Games in Tokyo. And of course, hopefully she'll be qualifying for the 2024 Games in Paris. I want to shout out to our VCOP members who are here and mention we recently had a recruitment session and encouraging residents who are watching, if you're interested in joining VCOP, we'd love to have new members. I have to myself get recertified because it's been a while since I've done a shift, but I will go through my recertification very soon as well. And finally, on May 18th from 2 to 8 p.m. at Public Works is compost pickup. So if for residents of Côte Saint-Luc, you can come pick up a bag of compost. There'll also be some other goodies. The list is not finalized, but some tomato plants, seeds, maybe some small trees will be available. So again, May 18th, 2 to 8 p.m. at the Public Works yards for Côte Saint-Luc residents, compost and some goodies. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And when Councillor Erdely gets recertified, I'd love to go on shift with you and do a couple of VCOP shifts. Some updates on public safety. So last month I gave an update on the ice storm. We in time got some data that I'd like to share with you on that particular ice storm. So the efforts just speak for themselves. From the 5th of April to the 11th of April, over 144 continuous hours served by our members of the city. 10,627 calls and radio communication during that time. 296 VCOP and public safety dispatched different calls. And 38 were for emergency medical services. So quite a telling story on this data. We commend everybody for the hard work and everything they've done for our residents during this hard time. And indeed, bravo. Some data also on statistics around EMS that I wanted to share with you guys for the last month. 100% coverage from our EMS crew members, which is an amazing feat. And we strive to continue keeping that number as high as possible. In fact, we're looking, much like VCOPs are doing, we're looking at a new training session, hopefully in the next coming weeks, in our training center at the ACC. And anybody who's interested, there is a link that I can either send you or look on our website to apply for that. There's a whole schedule and some of the prerequisites to be an emergency medical services volunteer for Côte Saint-Luc. 4 years for both Thomas Lafleur and Veronica Sinchaliv. That is the two members that are celebrating an anniversary. And I also wanted to take some time and mention that we did launch a new initiative, and thank you to our communication department for acting so fast on this one, but we did launch a tenant portal for the city of Côte Saint-Luc, which is live on our website right now. This has been an ongoing initiative that I've been talking to council about. What? You didn't know? Well, you know now. The portal is live, and tenants can go in, put their names, their address, and the issue at hand, and where they live, and someone from the city will evaluate it and see if it's something that we can do something about. If not, there are resources that are continuously going to be put in that website to help residents have more of a repository of links and possible legal services that you can go and see and hopefully navigate through the bureaucracy that sometimes can be a little bit more difficult when it comes to landlords. So I'm very excited to have that launched, and hopefully people can use it and make good with it. And again, thank you for our staff and our communication department for doing such a quick service on that one. I shared with, sorry I'm taking so long today, but I shared with this council an article that came out today that the health minister of Quebec, Christian Dubé, plans to modify his proposed Bill 15 to involve municipal elected officials to look at how hospitals are working in their own cities. And I think this is a great initiative by Ministère Dubé to see how management of hospitals can now not only respond to or answer to him, but also to elected officials that have a pulse on what's going on in their cities. I think that's a great, great initiative. I welcome all this council to read the article that I sent them today and see if we want, and I strongly suggest that we write a letter of support for that modification if everybody's okay with it. But this is a great way to hold management of hospitals responsible, to improve services and responsiveness to our residents. And I'm certainly looking with Director Chateauvert to see if there's anything on the EMS side that we can also be part of. So thank you very much. I took a long time to give the update today. I usually try and keep it short and sweet. But thank you again for listening to me.
So thank you, Councillor Sabag. So I just went online myself and I saw the city tenant tip line. That's very cool. And I already have some residents in my district who could use this. Yesterday when I was on the Jane's Walk, a few people came up to me and started telling me about incidents in their own buildings. So thank you for making this public. And it's at cotesaintluc.org/tenants. And there's a lot of information there for tenants. Very good. Now, who is next with the departmental reports? Thank you, Mitch Kujawski, go for it.
So I don't really have a whole lot to add as a District 5 councillor or as portfolio councillor for engineering or urban planning, but I'll speak to you as chair of the traffic committee and as a human and father of 3 children. So I was on the James Walk as well yesterday, or it was yesterday. Yes. Thank you, Dita, for that. It was a lot of fun. And Janine, thank you to Janine West. We had probably close to 100 people.
Easily.
But I'll segue that, and thank you to the library staff, and thank you everyone for who participated. But I'll segue it into traffic, because just on the James Walk alone, I saw at least a dozen vehicles who rolled through stop signs, were speeding on our residential streets, speeding on our collector streets. I myself, mostly drive the speed limit, but I'm very mindful of the number of children who are in our area. I was driving along Kildare the other day, and a little girl on a scooter just sped right out across the street, no stop sign. It was on the corner of Kildare and I want to say Rand. And if I wasn't paying close attention, I think something unfortunate would have happened. So I say to everyone who's listening and everyone who will listen to this on YouTube, this past week was the first week that we were out en masse on the streets, walking, kids playing in the streets. It was the first weekend we had of sunshine in quite a while, no rain. There were a lot of our citizens out there. It is only a matter of time. If we continue to drive in the way that I've seen us drive as a community, it's only a matter of time until someone gets hurt. We're lucky that no children have been hurt to date. We are working as a city on a reinvention of our traffic calming campaign and the way we visually ask people to slow down. We have historically used our slow down signs, but as our community gets used to the look of those signs, I guess they kind of blend into the background. So we're going to reinvent our traffic calming campaign. We're looking for creative ideas on how to do so and put a spotlight on people slowing down, making the pedestrian king in Côte Saint-Luc and making sure that our children and our citizens are safe for the summer. So anyone listening, please slow down. And if you do have creative ideas on how to reinvent that campaign, please share them with me, with the mayor, with city management. Thank you.
Yep, that's a very good point. Thank you, Councillor Kujawski. Does anyone else? Yes, Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. I'm very pleased to announce that on Monday, June the 29th, I will be having a virtual district meeting.
I have to correct you. It's May 29th.
May 29th, Monday, May 29th. Very happy to be sticking with the virtual model. Did a lot of consultations over the last few months. People prefer it, more people could attend. I'll be talking about traffic issues. Spiro Yotis, our traffic engineer, will join us. Just giving a timeline on the master plan. We don't have a lot of information yet, but just what people should be expecting. An update on Hydro-Quebec, Mark Chagall Avenue, Sheila Pinestone Park, and we'll have Isabella Pietrocupo from our Public Works talking about the snow dump and Rembrandt Park. And on the subject of the snow dump, you could read my blog at mikecohen.ca. I have a very detailed article on the snow dump. We will start breaking it up in the next few weeks. It's quite big, solid, and muddy. But Isabella wrote a beautiful piece in which she explains in great detail how much TLC is taken to the snow dump and how every effort for safety standards is taken. So I think it's a good read. My latest podcast, I've now gone to District 7, and my latest bilingual podcast is with Councillor Sidney Ben-Isri. He's not here at the meeting tonight, but you could go to mikecohen.ca and click on the link. So Andy Schuster will be next. She's on deck. And after that, it'll be Mayor Brownstein. And after that, I'm going to start interviewing some staff people. So people have been enjoying the series, and I'm having a lot of fun with it as well. So those are the 3 items I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Okay, who's next? Anyone else? It's been moved and seconded, and I think we moved it already, but all in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we'll move on to the next item, which is Finance and Information Technology. Item 7A, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is the tabling of the financial report and independent auditors report for 2022. And I don't know if it's myself or Embed Schechter. So I'll let him confirm that it has been tabled. Go ahead. That better? Can everyone can hear me better now?
Really loud.
Okay, so just to reiterate quickly, the financial report and the external auditors report has been tabled tonight at the regular council meeting.
Thank you. So the next item is the mayor's report. So would I start reading it, or will you move Councillor Italy first, and then how do we do? Do I just read it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's just
yeah.
read it.
So maybe I'll let Mr. Mayor, I'll let you read
Read
it,
it
and
first.
after we adopt the resolution in terms of the distribution. Correct, yeah.
Carried. Okay. Conformément à l'article 105.2.2 de la loi sur les cités et villes, j'ai le plaisir de présenter un rapport des faits selon des états financiers pour l'exercice terminé le 31 décembre 2022. Les résultats financiers présentés dans ce rapport sont un résumé du rapport financier officiel de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc, audité par Deloitte. Bien que ce rapport souligne des renseignements importants, je veux vous inviter à consulter le rapport financier du ministère des Affaires municipales et qui est disponible sur le site de la ville. In 2022, operating revenues increased by 5.87 million, 7.5%. Operating expenses increased by 6 million, 8.8%. Capital repayments increased by 130,000, 2.3%. And apportions to from reserves increased by $576,200 compared to 2021. The agglomeration apportionment increased from 29.4 million in 2021 to 32.4 million in 2022. The majority of the 3 million increase was due to the deficit incurred by the City of Montreal in 2020 related to net COVID-19 expenses. The city posted an operating surplus of 2.87 million for 2022 that was possible due to large property sales that generated significantly more in transfer duty revenues than budgeted. The major variances that contributed to the 2.87 million surplus are the following. The revenues, 1, increase in transfer duty, revenues 3.88 million, increase in government grants, transfers, $368,600, increase in taxation revenues due to new construction, $764,900, increase in interest revenue due to higher interest rates, $796,800, decrease in recreation and culture program revenues, $465,600, an increase in all other revenues, $264,700. Total increase in revenues was $5,969,400 compared to the original budget. Expenses, increase in administration, public safety and pension plan expenses, $311,600. Decrease in public works expenses, including snow removal, $93,400. Increase in environmental services, $129,500. Decrease in recreation, ACC and library expenses, $548,300. Decrease in appropriation from reserves, $395,600. In addition, the city did not need to use the MAM COVID grant of $2,958,000 in 2022. Therefore, it will remain in restricted surplus for future years. 2.1 million of the grant will be used in 2023 to help cover the unexpected significant increase for the agglomeration code part. The city's unrestricted operating surplus is 14.3 million at December 31st, 2022, compared to 11.4 million at December 31, 2022. The restricted surplus will be used to finance capital projects and reduce long-term debt. In addition, the city has a restricted surplus of 4.97 million at December 31st, 2022. The restricted surplus includes MAM COVID grant of 2.96 million, reserve funds for various capital projects, 1.6 million, and legal purposes, 400,000. The city spent 12.1 million in capital expenditures in 2022. The expenditures were financed by government grants, 3.97 million, internal transfers from surplus revenues, 1.2 million, and long-term debt, 6 million. The balance will be financed in future years once projects are completed. The city's long-term debt has increased slightly to 51 million at December 21st, 2022, compared to 50.7 million at December 31st, 2021. The city borrowed 6 million in long-term debt and reimbursed 5.7 million in capital repayments in 2022. The city received an unqualified audit opinion from Deloitte regarding the financial statements that were deposited by the city treasurer to the council on May 8th, 2023. The auditor's report indicates that all material aspects, the financial results, present an accurate portrait of the city's financial position as of December 31st, 2022. Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just maybe to highlight one or two points before I read the next the resolution. So just to reiterate, as the mayor mentioned, so for the year ending December 31st, 2022, the city has a surplus of $2,867,415. The biggest factor in the surplus was the increase in transfer duties or welcome tax, was about 3.8 million, 3.9 million higher than we originally budgeted. Due to the extra increase in revenue, we were able also to take the approximately $3 million that had been allocated from the provincial government for COVID expenses. We were able to put that back into surplus, back into restricted surplus, and actually use portion of it for 2023. We hope at some point, depending on how 2023 goes, to be able to maybe reduce the amount of that $3 million or well, $2 million and change that we are using and put that back again into restricted surplus. But I would say overall it was a positive year financially. I do want to take a moment to recognize and thank our treasurer, Angelo Marino, and who's our director of finance and IT, his whole department, for all their work behind the scenes in terms of ensuring that we stay on the right path financially and helping work with the auditors, who I have to say we're very impressed with the city in terms of the city management. And with that, I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that in accordance with the law, Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby authorizes and orders the publication of the text of the mayor's report on the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2022 of the city of Côte Saint-Luc to be distributed to each civic address in the municipality.
Moved by Councillor Erdely. Seconded. Councillor Burku. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I
Okay.
just want to say for those who have questioned why we are delivering it door to door, I think this is very important because especially since the local newspaper is no longer delivered door to door, it's one more reason that we really want to ensure that all residents have access to this mayor's report and to the financial statements. And as well, of course, they will be published and posted on our website. So I absolutely support this motion to deliver it to every household in Côte Saint-Luc by Canada Post. Thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilor Burku and Mr. Mayor. Just to add that it will. I certainly agree that we should send it by mail. But yeah, just to add, residents can go online, I believe, as of tomorrow, because we have to wait till tonight till everything is tabled and so on. But I believe that tomorrow morning or tomorrow at some point during the day, the mayor's report will also be posted on our website, as well as the audited financial statements, as well as a summarized version of the financial statements as well, because the financial statements are about 100 pages long. So there's also a shorter version as well. So residents have the option to read the long, I would say the long, the medium, or the short version.
And we're also going to be transmitting them to the Quebec Ministry.
Okay, good. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, everyone's favor, passed unanimously. And we moved to item C, the tabling of the audit committee report. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'll let Matt Schechter first
Schechter,
officially
yep.
table, and then I'll just share a few quick highlights.
Right. So in conformity with the terms of reference of our audit committee, we have to produce an annual report to the council highlighting activities reviewed and accomplishments throughout the fiscal year. The report shall be posted also on the city's website. So pursuant to the terms of reference, the audit committee report for 2022 has in fact been tabled.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you both. I'll share just a few of the highlights of the audit committee's action plan for 2022 that were done successfully. So there were a few highlights. The first was a subcommittee was set up to look at the financial effects of the redevelopment projects throughout the city, including but not limited to the 3 malls the Cavendish Mall, Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Center, the Carey Square, and looking at different simulations in terms of how it'll affect the city, both in the short term and long term. We looked at the operating budget, looking at different effects such as the water tax. And one of the points mentioned earlier was the eventual transition to going from a tax base for water where it's done by evaluation to one by consumption. We also looked at the agglomeration in terms of how they estimate their expenses and how it's passed on and how we have to deal with last minute changes to try to be more proactive. We also looked at programs in terms of which programs were costing the city more and less and in terms of expenses and so on. We looked at internal controls and we had time to meet with the directors and members of the staff from public safety, public works, recreation, library, to look at internal controls in terms of mitigating or reducing financial risk. And finally, we did a optimization resource audit of the urban planning department to look at the process by which permits are done. If someone wants to do construction or renovations on their home, in terms of how to apply for the permit, what all the steps are in terms of the review, the payments and process. And we've made recommendations and we're continuing to work with the Director of Urban Development to make sure those recommendations are followed through upon. So I would say those are the key highlights for 2022.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Erdely. Right, now we're going to go to D, which is resolution for disbursements. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just gonna flip to here. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of April 1st, 2023 to April 30th, 2023 for a total amount of $4,773,653.97 in Canadian funds, and the Treasurer Certificate number 23-0078 dated May 1st, 2023 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Bercu. Any discussion?
So I'll just share some of the highlights. So we had some of the expenses for sewer sleeving that's been done and going on right now. Insurance payments, our annual premium. So some of the work on the lead pipes in terms of dealing with the lead service lines and in terms of the pneumatic excavations. We had our monthly payment for water management and a capital repayment. This time it was bond number 94. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Disbursement carried unanimously, and we move to the next item, which is item 8. Councillor Erdely.
So I'll give the notice of motion and speak to it, and then I'll give a bit more detail. I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2554-4 to be entitled bylaw 2554-4, amending bylaw 2554, instituting a water filter rebate program in order to amend Annex A to include a $50 rebate for the rental of an under sink reverse osmosis system will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. Furthermore, I am mentioning and will speak to the object and scope of bylaw 2554-4, and I'm also tabling the draft bylaw 2554-4.
Thank you. So that's done by you, and now we move to human resources.
So maybe
Go
I'll
ahead.
just, sorry, I'll just mention really quick.
Explain it more.
So this just adds another option for residents who want to get a filter rebate. So originally we started with just the sort of Brita style or ones that are in a refrigerator. Then we included reverse osmosis under sink for purchase. What this does is for those people, and we realize more and more people are renting the reverse osmosis where they're not paying a single fee, they're paying an annual fee. So this includes them as well. So they get a $50 annual rebate for their rental of the reverse osmosis or under sink filter system. Thank you.
Thank you. Human resources, 8A, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And soon my PDF will, there we go. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of the white-collar auxiliary employees whose names are listed on the document titled Auxiliary Employees, White Collars Hiring, dated April 28th, 2023, and that said employees' terms of employment will be as per the conditions of the collective agreement. that treasurer's certificate number 23-0074 dated April 28th, 2023 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Jafsky. Any discussion?
Just a brief explanation that the employees listed include lifeguards, swim instructors, junior and senior camp counselors, and tennis club attendants.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Item 8B, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council ratifies the hiring of Andre Raffolisi as of May 8th, 2023. His term of Director of Finance and Treasurer will be effective as of July 3rd, 2023. And that Treasurer Certificate number 23-0076 dated May 1st, 2023 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Azarad. Any discussion?
So I'll just share that our city treasurer, Angelo Marino, will be retiring this summer, which is a huge loss for the city. I've had the pleasure of working with Angelo on and off for many, many years. But luckily we have a new treasurer, Andrea Raffolisi, who comes most recently from the city of Westmount. So they'll have about a month overlap, about 2 months overlap, I should say. About 2 months overlap to work together. And then he will officially take over as Director of Finance and Treasurer as of July. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we're very happy to welcome Andre to our team. Angelo is a superstar, and we're glad he's staying on to continue to train Andre in the style of management that he has and the excellent relationship that he's had with all of our directors and with council, ensuring that we have a balanced, excellent budget and run our finances well. So welcome to the team, Andre, and learn a lot from Angelo in the time that you're together. Bienvenue, welcome et bienvenue à Côte Saint-Luc. Ça va être un bon travail qu'on va faire ensemble. So that was moved, seconded. All in favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to item C, Councilor Burku. C.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby approves the termination of employment of blue collar employee number 2351 effective April 21st, 2023.
Okay, moved by Councilor Burku, seconded by Councilor Schuster. No discussion, I guess. It's HR, all in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to D, Councilor Schuster.
Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the termination of employment of white collar employee number 3629 effective April 19th, 2020.
Moved by Councilor Schuster, seconded by Councilor Erdely. All in favor? Carried unanimously, once again, HR issue. Move on to legal services, 9A, Councilor Burku. Oh, Councilor Erdely, you're supposed to second it, Councilor Burku,
Okay.
hopefully.
Yeah, I think this one is me.
Yep.
Be it resolved that the city commits to respect the modalities of the guide which applies to it, that the city commits to be solely responsible and to discharge Canada and Quebec, as well as their ministers, senior officials, employees, and representatives, all responsibilities concerning claims, requirements, losses, damages, and costs of all kinds, having as a foundation a wound inflicted on a person, the death of the latter, damages caused to material possessions, or the loss thereof, attributable to a deliberate or negligent act ensuing directly or indirectly from the investment finance from the grant obtained within the framework of the TCQ 2019 to 2023 program. That the city approves the contents and authorize the forwarding to the Ministère des Affaires Municipales et de l'Habitation of the work schedule number 2 hereto attached and all other documents required by the Ministère in order to receive the government contribution, which was confirmed in a letter from the Ministère des Affaires Municipales et de l'Habitation that the city commits to a minimum threshold of fixed assets in municipal infrastructure set at $75 per inhabitant per year for a total of $375 per inhabitant for the entire 5-year period of the program, that the city commits to inform the Ministère des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation of any modification made to the work schedule approved herein by this said resolution, that the city confirms by the present resolution that the Programmation des travaux numéro 2 of work schedule attached reflecting the true cost regarding estimates of expenditures of admissible projects to December 31st, 2023, and that the city's general counsel or the city treasurer are both authorized to sign any documents giving effect to said resolution.
It's been moved by Councillor Erdely and seconded by Councillor Berkner. Any discussion?
So just to mention, this is I guess a technicality. This is the same resolution we had previously adopted. We just have to adopt it once more. This is for the TECQ, the tech grant, which is the gas tax. But what I will say is we'll probably be adopting one more resolution in the summer because we are still making some modifications based on changes in the rules in terms of which projects are grantable. But basically, this is in order for us. The city will receive about, I would say approximately $16 million over a 5-year period. So about 3 million and change per year for the 5 years of the grant. Thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Excellent. And now we move on to Parks and Rec. Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hereby give notice of motion that bylaw 2615 to be entitled bylaw 2615, creating the fee schedule for culture, sports and leisure activities for the fall of 2023 and winter of 2024 will be presented at a later meeting for adoption. I go on to the next one. Thank you.
Table it.
I hereby table the draft bylaw 2615 entitled bylaw 2615, creating the fee schedule for culture, sports and leisure activities for the fall 2023 and winter of 2024.
Thank you. Well done. So now we're moving on to Public Works. Councillor Berkner, you're going to do 11A in Public Works. Excited, eh? Councillor.
Yeah, I'll just read the first attendu and then I'll go to the resolution. Attendu que la ville de Côte Saint-Luc souhaite protéger et mettre en valeur des boisés des parcs Ashkelon, Nathan Schuster et Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Attendu que CEGM œuvre dans le domaine de la conservation et de la mise en valeur des milieux naturels. Attendu que CEGM détient le statut d'organisme sans but lucratif et conséquemment, conformément à l'article 573.3 de la loi sur les cités et villes, une entente avec la ville est exemptée du processus d'appel d'offres. Attendu que CEGM a présenté le projet dans le cadre du programme Fonds pour dommages à l'environnement de l'Environnement et Changement climatique Canada et que le dit projet a été retenu. Attendu qu'une contribution maximale de 360 000 $ répartie entre 2023 et 2027 a été accordée par Environnement et Changement climatique Canada à CEGM pour la réalisation du projet, attendu que CEGM sollicite aussi la participation financière de la Ville pour la réalisation du projet, attendu que la Ville désire encourager CEGM à réaliser son projet en l'aidant financièrement. Il est résolu que le Conseil de la Ville de Côte Saint-Luc, à la suite de la subvention de 360 000 $ accordée par Environnement et Changement climatique Canada à CEGM pour la réalisation du projet, autorise la signature d'une convention de contribution financière entre la Ville et CEGM, que la Ville contribuera au projet pour une période de 5 ans avec un montant maximal de 75 000 $ par année, indexé par 2 % annuellement pour un total de 384 120 $ et 60 sous, plus les taxes applicables, que la Ville ne soit pas liée à cette contribution maximale pour 5 ans puisqu'elle pourra être réévaluée en fonction de l'avancement du projet, que le certificat du trésorier numéro 23-0077 daté du 1er mai 2023 a été émis par le trésorier de la Ville attestant de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir la dépense décrite. So moved.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Brickell, seconded by Mr. Schuster. Any discussion?
Yeah, so I'm very, very, very pleased that our Public Works Department and our environmental and forest and engineers and all the people who are working in the department were successful in obtaining this grant of $360,000 awarded by Environment and Climate Change Canada to a nonprofit that's going to be working with us to realize and execute this project, which is basically to protect and enhance the gardens and the green spaces and the wetlands at Ashkelon, which is right next to, right next to City Hall, Nathan Schuster Park, which is in District 8, and Pierre Elliott Trudeau Park, which Woodlands, the Woodlands portion. That's the project. We're going to be experiencing this over the next few years. They're going to enhance, they're going to plant trees, they're going to do a lot of cleaning up and in general, you know, making the parks and the green spaces more beautiful. And it's a fantastic thing because it's going to allow the city also to be part of the nature network, which is being recognized all across the island, because this island of Montreal has an objective to preserve 30% green space by 2030. And so Ashkelon and Nathan Schuster and Trudeau Park Woodlands are all going to be part of this ultimate network of green spaces on the island of Montreal. So I'm very, very pleased with this. And I think we should all, you know, be very excited about it.
Excellent. That's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we go to the next item, which is now going to be moved by Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the city of Côte Saint-Luc hereby awards a contract to Régis Bégin for the cutting of grass on city vacant lots for the 2023 season for a total amount of $29,400 plus applicable tax, and that the city reserves its right in regard to the optional seasons 2024 and 2025. That Treasurer Certificate number 23-0075 dated May 1st, 2023 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
So I'll just mention briefly, it's a slight increase, about 5.8% higher than last year. So higher than we would have liked, but still within the range of inflation. This covers a few sort of random vacant lots. I'll give some quick examples. The grass around the snow dump. It covers the nature path and Joe Ray Dog Run. It covers the area along the Westminster Underpass, some areas along the CP yards. So basically, these are areas that are done as part of this contract. Thank you.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? All in favor of cutting the grass? Good. Carried unanimously. All right. About cutting the grass? What do you mean? You have to vote against or you haven't? About cutting the grass? Okay, one against.
So carried by the majority of votes with Councillor Jaskowitz.
You got it. I don't know. Okay. So now we're going to urban development, item 12. Councillor Erdely, 12A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm excited about this one. Be it resolved that the city council hereby awards a contract for renovation of a splash pad at Schwartz Park to L'Image et Fils Terrassement for an amount not to exceed $44,625 plus applicable taxes, that the described expenses shall be financed in whole from the city's cumulative surplus, and that treasurer certificate number 23-0070 has been issued by the city treasurer on April 19th, 2023, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion on the splash pad?
So I'll just give some brief history. So the splash pad at Schwartz Park goes back to 2001. In 2014, we did a renovation to the park. We added the water tower, the train theme as well. But over time, some of those pipes have aged, some of the valves are no longer working properly. So all that to say, it's led to some issues where certain games don't work. I can tell you myself, I pass by often during the summer and I kind of go through them just to check which ones are working, and I'll send emails, but I know that our plumbers have done quite a lot of grunt work to try to patch things up, sort of with duct tape, if you can imagine. But after a certain amount of time, you need a more significant repair. So what this is, it'll be replacing the underground pipes. So the equipment will stay the same. I should clarify. So it won't be changes to the equipment, but it'll be the underground pipes that'll be repaired and upgraded. And hopefully it'll, add another 10, 20 years to the life of the splash pad. And finally, I'll mention that the work will only be done in September. Because I spoke to the Department of Public Works and said that we can't close the splash pad in the summer, especially with global warming and heat island effect and climate change and so on. So the work will be done only in September, once the kids are back in school, and hopefully by then it'll be cooler, but throughout the summer, children will still be able to use it. However, note that there might be some of the equipment that is not working as good as it should, but that will hopefully be much better for next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. So that was moved and seconded. It's Schwartz Park, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we go to Fionn Park, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby awards a contract for the renovation of a splash pad at Fionn Park to L'Image et Fils Terrassement for an amount not to exceed $47,775 plus applicable taxes, that the described expenses shall be financed in whole from the city's cumulative surplus, that Treasurer's Certificate number 23-0071 has been issued by the City Treasurer on April 19th, 2023, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Thank you, Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
Just a brief explanation. Fionn Park at the end of Sunrise Avenue's splash pad was constructed in 2001 and has never been updated. So construction will include adjustments to the mechanical room, the installing of a concrete slab, repairing broken pipes, restoring surfaces, etc. And work is slated to start in September for similar reasons that Councillor Erdely mentioned about Schwartz Park.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to awarding of the installation of 380 water meters. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc hereby awards a contract to Group H&L for the installation of 380 water meters in accordance with the terms of tender number C17-23C for a total amount of $477,675.30 plus applicable taxes, that the described expenses shall be financed from loan bylaw 2583, previously approved by the MAMH, and Treasurer Certificate number 23-0073 dated April 28, 2023 has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to availability of funds to cover the described expenses. Furthermore, that the Director of Urban Planning is hereby appointed to proceed with the evaluation of Group H&L's performance within the tendered contract.
Okay, moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Cohen. Any discussion?
So I'll just mention briefly, so residents who are part of the sample group or the pilot group, I should say, of 380 should have received a letter similar to the one I'm holding that details the timeline and specifics for the installation of the water meters. We encourage residents to participate in this pilot project. I myself am a participant, I think, as well as most of council. So the meter should be installed starting shortly. It'll take, it's still going to take a bit of time. It'll probably take about a year or just over a year to install all the 380 meters. But it'll give us a good chance to see how it could work for the eventual expansion to the entire city, which again, is still several years away. Thank you.
It's been moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Cohen. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to urban development. Item 13, Councillor Kajowski. 13A.
We're deferring this item, right? Maître Schechter, have to move to defer
Seconded by
till the June public council meeting.
And that would be seconded by Councillor Cohen. All in favor? Carried unanimously. That's fine. Okay, now we're gonna move on to item 13.1. Councillor Schuster. 30 vote. Sir Winston Churchill.
Yeah, you want to do it?
Councillor Kajowski. Okay, whatever.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing a revision to the proposed exterior finished material for the building extension project previously approved on September 13, 2021 for the detached single-family dwelling on lot 1561583 at 5611 Sir Winston Churchill and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of April 4th, 2023 and modified on April 26th, 2023 be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
So that's been moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
Thank you, Councillor Erdely, for putting that up on the screen. So this is the final version of a facade modification on Sir Winston Churchill with the, again, the help of staff, urban planning staff, Melanie Rothpan. Slight modifications that were, well, a project that was originally not recommended for approval by PAC with some modification, with some stone banding around the home that made it a little more complete and PAC decided to recommend approval of the project.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? So carried unanimously, and stands at the aggro, Councillor Burku. Yeah, usually it's another one of councillors, but today it's you.
My microphone. Be it resolved, the council takes the following stance in view of the agglomeration council meeting to be held in June as follows: to authorize the mayor or his duly authorized replacement to make any decisions deemed necessary in the best interest of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the agglomeration council meetings to be held in June based on the information to be presented during those meetings.
Moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Kajowski. All in favor?
I just want to mention that it's very likely that we will be presenting some form of resolution with regard to Cavendish, because it's been more than a year since the BAP, the notice to the BAP was filed by the City of Montreal. We have yet to receive a notice that the environmental studies have been done. And we made some inquiries at the BAP. We did not get any response. I will be asking the question on May 18th at the agglomeration meeting. And if we don't get a response then we will be depositing a resolution at the June meeting, which should be held sometime in like Thursday, the last Thursday of June, probably just before Saint Jean-Baptiste, because we do need to get this dossier moving. And as some of you may know, when the notice of presentation was made, a good portion of Côte Saint-Luc residents sent in their commentaries. We have 52 pages of reports with regard to the commentaries, mostly coming from the citizens of Côte Saint-Luc. So just getting an email here. Let me see if there's something of interest. It's fascinating how this works. Okay, so that definitely will encourage me to pass a resolution. So that's That's what I have to say about the next
Excellent.
meeting. Thank you.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we move on to other business. Any second questions?
There is one question.
Go ahead.
Please go ahead, sir, and state your name.
Go ahead.
Yes, hi, my name is Patrick Lortzi. I live on Blossom. I just wanted to know regarding agenda item 13A, why this is being deferred a second time and when we can maybe start seeing closure around this issue.
Yeah, the reason for deferral is we're waiting for staff to provide certain information and requests from the developer to see if there's modifications to improve the project. And then we would be at a position where we could present that information to the public for their review.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, so premièrement, je vais remercier la police pour être avec nous ce soir. Merci, Monsieur de Station 9, and also our VCOPs. Thank you very much. We have a good security presence. Public security officer? Okay, you look like a police guy, but thanks for being here. Good.
Same uniform.
Same uniform. Almost the same uniform, almost, right? It looks great. Well, we're happy to have public security and VCOPs here today. So I'll call for adjournment. Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajewski, all in favor. We are adjourned. Thank you all for being here.